Part 2, The Monkeytown Wars. 20. The Kiss. They remained where they were, Gabriel in the swinging chair, Laura on the bed. Gabriel said, "What?" "You heard me," Laura whispered. It had surprised her almost as much as it had Gabriel, and she was the one who had said it. She was all set to tell him he had to put on the moo-moo, but somehow those other words came out. They stayed glued to their chairs. The best way to explain Laura's change of heart is like this. Before, she had to kiss him. Now, he had to kiss her. That was a big difference. She took a deep breath. She felt her heart beating. She imagined herself kissing him, then raising her fist to her nose and saying very sexily, "Welcome to Pig City." "What's so funny?" Gabriel asked. She shook her head. She hadn't realized she was smiling. They stared into each other's eyes. Gabriel climbed out of the swinging chair. Laura stood up. She felt tingly all over. "Have you ever kissed a girl before?" she whispered. "No," he said. "Have you?" She laughed. He did too. Have you ever kissed a boy?" She shook her head. "I never would have chosen it for your insurance," she said, "except it was your idea in the first place." "What do you mean?" "You know, what you said in the note you wrote me." "What are you talking about?" Gabriel's voice was an octave higher than usual. He cleared his throat. "You know," said Laura. "No, I don't." His voice was still way up there. "You said if I didn't kiss you, you'd tell everyone about Pig City." Thinking about it again made her angry. "What are you talking about?" Laura put her hands on her hips and stared at him. She recited the note from memory. "Hey, Laura, I know all about Pig City. If you don't kiss me, I will tell the whole school. You have ugly hair. Your humble servant, Gabriel." "Are you crazy?" Gabriel asked. "You wrote it, not me," Laura said. "I never said you had to kiss me." "Don't lie to me," said Laura. "I read it, remember? You put it in my desk." "You're the one who's lying," said Gabriel. That did it. Nobody called her a liar. "Get out!" she exclaimed. "You're not allowed in Pig City. I'll never kiss you. And you're too ugly to wear a dress." "Yeah, well, you're too ugly to wear a suit and tie," snapped Gabriel. They shouted at each other, using every bad word they knew and some they didn't know. "If you cut your hair every time you told a lie, you'd be bald," said Gabriel. "Get out!" Laura screamed. "Liars aren't allowed in the doghouse." "Then what are you still doing here?" "You're repulsive," she said. "No girl will ever want to kiss you, not for your whole life." "At least I didn't kiss you. I probably would have gotten warts all over my face." "You are a wart. You're a canker sore. Get out of here. Go crawl back where you came from." "Oink, oink," said Gabriel. "That's so stupid." "Oink, oink," he repeated. He stepped out and slammed the door behind him. It bounced back open. Laura remained alone in the doghouse. She tore her sister's purple and pink Hawaiian muumuu to shreds. 21. Slow Torture. Laura stared through the hole in her cinnamon donut. It had been 3 days since her fight with Gabriel. She'd hardly slept or eaten anything since. She felt like she was losing control. As far as she knew, Gabriel hadn't told anybody about Pig City yet. She knew he would. Still, she continued to write her messages on the board. On Tuesday, she wrote "Pigs forever," and on Wednesday, "Pigs are winners." She had to. If she didn't, the citizens of Pig City would know something was wrong, and she couldn't let Gabriel know she was afraid of him. But the more messages she put up, the more dictionary pages she'd have to copy when she finally told. He kept almost telling. He'd raise his hand as if he was going to tell on her, but instead he'd make some kind of ordinary comment. She knew he was doing it on purpose, to torture her. "Don't you think you should eat something a little more substantial for breakfast than just a donut?" asked her mother. "Let me make you an egg," offered her father. "No!" she screamed. "Laura!" scolded her mother. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "You know I hate eggs." She was almost in tears. All her life, it seemed, people were trying to force eggs down her throat. "I know you don't like it soft-boiled, but try it hard-boiled," they'd say. Or "Try my egg salad. It doesn't taste like eggs." Or "Have you ever tasted quiche? It's nothing like regular eggs." No matter how you cook it, an egg is an egg is an egg. She sighed. She knew it wasn't eggs that had her so upset. It was Gabriel, the biggest rotten egg of them all. "Oh, I know what's the matter with Laura," said her father. "Nothing's the matter," she snapped. "Remember that boy who came by the other evening?" her father continued. "What was his name? Gabriel?" She stared at him in horror. "So," said her mother. "It's obvious," said her father. "She doesn't eat, she doesn't sleep." He smiled. "Laura's in love." She screamed. She went to school and sneaked into Mr. Doyle's room. The number 6 was next to the rectangle under the word dictionary. Her hand shook as she wrote "Pigs are supreme" in the center of the blackboard. There was no way she could copy 6, make that 7 dictionary pages. Everyone laughed when they saw her message. "It sounds like something you'd eat at Jack in the Box," laughed Karen. "A pig supreme." Mr. Doyle erased it and told the class to settle down. He put the number 7 next to the rectangle. "Yes, Gabriel?" Gabriel lowered his hand. "I have something to say about those things somebody keeps writing on the board," he said. Laura closed her eyes. "I don't think they're very funny," Gabriel said. "Everybody always laughs, but I don't think we should. It disrupts the class and just encourages whoever is writing them. Like today's 'Pigs are supreme.' What's funny about that? Nothing." "Thank you, Gabriel," said Mr. Doyle. "Your point is well taken." Gabriel turned and smiled at Laura. He brought his fist to his nose and lowered it. She pretended not to notice. Her leg was shaking. She almost wished Gabriel would tell Mr. Doyle and get it over with. Just before recess, he raised his hand again. "Yes, Gabriel?" "Oh, I was just stretching," he said. "I wasn't raising my hand." Laura walked very slowly out to recess. She stood on the steps in front of the school and watched the other members of Pig City salute each other, 5 girls and 2 boys. She was their leader. Somehow she had to be strong. George Washington never complained about the cold weather when he was at Valley Forge. "Laura," someone said behind her. She turned to see Karen. "Would it be okay if I joined Pig City?" Karen asked. Laura stared at her, thunderstruck. "Yolanda said I should ask you," said Karen. "She said you're the president." Laura called Allison and Tiffany over and asked Karen to repeat what she said to them. "I asked Laura if I could join Pig City," said Karen. They were aghast. "And why did you ask me?" asked Laura. "Yolanda said you're the president," said Karen. "She told me to ask you. What's the matter? Did I say something wrong?" For the first time in 3 days, Laura smiled. 22. Dancing on the edge of a razor blade. "Dearest darling Jonathan, I'm madly in love with you. I dream about kissing you all the time. You're so handsome. I'd love to run my fingers through your hair. Love, Yolanda." Laura placed the note inside Jonathan's desk. Yolanda was so shy. Laura couldn't imagine what she'd do. Maybe she'd run away and become a nun, she thought. But Yolanda knew the rules. She knew this would happen if she told anybody about Pig City, even Karen. It might have been the worst thing that could have happened to Yolanda, but it was the best thing that could happen to Laura. Now if Gabriel blabbed about Pig City, Yolanda would be blamed for it, or Karen. Laura would still have to copy 7 dictionary pages, but that was the least of her worries. 7 dictionary pages no longer seemed like a lot to her. Make that 8. She went to the blackboard and tried to think of something great to write. Nothing came to her. Laura stared foolishly at the blackboard. She began to get nervous. It was silly, but she couldn't think of anything to write. Her mind was blank. It was getting late. She had to write something and get out of there quickly. "Think, Laura, think," she thought. She wrote something, then shoved the piece of chalk into her pants pocket and hurried out of the room. She walked a little too quickly. Several teachers looked at her suspiciously, but didn't say anything. Allison and Tiffany were outside waiting for her. "Did you put it on his desk?" asked Allison. Laura took off her cap, wiped her hair back off her face, and then put the cap back on. "Yes." Tiffany shrieked. The other members of Pig City were standing around the tetherball pole. There was no tetherball, only a pole. Everyone raised and lowered their fists. "Laura has an important announcement to make," Tiffany announced. Everyone waited. "I'm afraid I have some bad news," said Laura. Tiffany and Allison smiled. Laura looked at Yolanda, standing quietly with her hands folded in front of her. "Yolanda is no longer a member of Pig City," Laura stated. "She has violated our sacred trust. She has broken her vow of secrecy." Everyone looked at Yolanda. "What?" she uttered. "I didn't—" "You told Karen," Tiffany accused. Yolanda's golden skin turned white. She looked from one person to another. "But Karen wouldn't—" "We have already redeemed your insurance," said Laura. Yolanda put her hands over her face and then ran away. "What was Yolanda's insurance?" asked Kristen. "She had to write a love letter to a boy," said Allison. Tiffany giggled. "Which boy?" asked Nathan. "Jonathan," Debbie asserted. Laura looked at Debbie. "How did you know?" "Was I right?" asked Debbie. "I knew it. Yolanda's been in love with Jonathan since 4th grade, except she's so shy." "What'd the letter say?" asked Kristen. Laura was too embarrassed to repeat it in front of the boys. Tiffany wasn't. Dearest darling Jonathan, she giggled. I'm madly in love with you. She laughed harder. I dream about kissing you all the time. She was hysterical. You're so handsome. She fell to her knees, unable to finish. Everyone was laughing with her. Tiffany covered her face with her hands and squealed. I'd love to run my fingers through your hair. Kristen and Nathan screamed. Where's the note? Asked Aaron. I put it in Jonathan's desk, said Laura. Oh no! Exclaimed Kristen. Everyone hooted and howled. Nathan lay on the ground and pounded the blacktop with his fist. Kristen hugged the tetherball pole. No one noticed Mr. Doyle, who walked up to them and stood with his arms crossed, watching. Glad to see you're all so happy, he said at last. They stopped laughing. Good morning, Mr. Doyle, said Nathan. Good morning, Nathan, Tiffany, Allison, Debbie, Laura. I wonder, do you think there's anything written on the board this morning, Laura? Yes, I do, she replied. And what is that? He asked. There is the word dictionary, she said. And under that is a rectangle, and next to that is the number 7. Yes, that's still there, isn't it? But one of these days there will be a name in the rectangle, a word to the wise. He smiled and headed back toward the school building. He knows, whispered Debbie. He knows it's you. He only thinks he knows, said Nathan. He doesn't know he knows. Laura smiled confidently. She stuck her hand in her pocket and felt the piece of chalk. The smile dropped off her face. She didn't remember sticking the chalk in her pocket. That was a stupid thing to do. She had made a mistake. If Mr. Doyle had seen it, then he would have had all the proof he needed. What's wrong, Laura? Asked Allison. She shook her head. They lined up for class. Yolanda was ahead of them in line, next to Karen. Gabriel was behind them. Laura was dancing on the edge of a razor blade. She couldn't afford to make mistakes. She heard the kids ahead of her laugh when they entered the room. She smiled. She was glad they liked her message, especially after Gabriel's speech. She pushed through the yellow curtain and glanced at the board. Then she looked at it again. Then she looked at it a third time. Written in the center of the board were the words, Pigs stink. The citizens of Pig City were all staring at her. They wore big question marks on their faces. 23. Poor Yolanda. Laura was stunned. She put her hand down on somebody's desk to steady herself. Get your fat paw off my desk, said Sheila. Laura regained control. She let her hand rest on Sheila's desk for a second longer than necessary, then elegantly raised it like a queen might raise her hand for a knight to kiss. Her long hair swished in Sheila's face as she turned and walked to her seat. I know I didn't write that, she thought. I wrote pigs think, didn't I? She wasn't sure. She remembered how flustered she became when she couldn't think of anything to write. She stuck the chalk in her pocket without realizing it. Is it possible I wrote pigs stink instead of pigs think? She closed her eyes and tried to get a picture of the blackboard the way it was earlier in her mind. Nothing came to her. Okay, if I didn't write it, who else could have written it? The answer came to her instantly. She turned and looked at Gabriel. He was looking straight ahead. His face gave away nothing. Well, if he wrote it, that's good. Then he can't tell on me for writing on the board anymore. Her eyes went from Gabriel to Sheila sitting behind him. She could have written it too, Laura realized. Sheila hates me. But she doesn't know about Pig City, unless Gabriel told her. In front of Gabriel sat Karen. Karen knew about Pig City. Maybe Karen wrote it because we wouldn't let her join. Or Yolanda because we gave her note to Jonathan. She wondered if Jonathan had found the note yet. She could see only the back of Jonathan's blond head. His ears looked a little red. Pig stink remained on the board. Mr. Doyle had changed the number next to the rectangle from 7 to 8, but didn't erase the message. Aha, she thought triumphantly. You think you're so clever, don't you? Well, it won't work, Mr. Doyle. You don't fool me. It had to be Mr. Doyle who wrote it, she realized. It was a trick to try to trap her. That was why he hadn't erased it. Good try, Mr. Doyle, Laura thought. She had it all figured out. He would leave the message up there all day, staring at her, trying to break her. He wanted her to admit she wrote the other messages by saying that someone had changed what she had written. You must think I'm really stupid, Mr. Doyle. He erased the board. Laura shook her head. I must be going crazy. Why'd you write pigs stink? Asked Allison, fist on nose, on their way out to recess. I didn't write it. She hoped it wasn't a lie. If she said something she thought was true, but realized it might have been false, and then it turned out to be false, did that make it a lie? She shook her head. Now I'm thinking like Nathan. I don't even make sense to myself. Debbie approached. Fists went to noses and back again. Why'd you write pigs stink? Asked Debbie. She didn't write it, said Allison. I wrote pigs think, said Laura. Somebody changed it. Who? Asked Debbie. She shrugged. Hey, why'd you write pigs stink? Demanded Tiffany. Laura waited for everyone to gather, then told them all for the last time that she didn't write it, and she didn't know who did. It has to be someone who knows about Pig City, said Kristen. Yolanda, declared Debbie, because of what we did to her. Maybe, said Laura, but she didn't find out until just before class started. I don't know if she had time. How about Karen? Asked Tiffany. She knows about us too, and we wouldn't let her join. Yolanda or Karen could have told somebody else, said Erin. It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody who knows anything about us, said Nathan. I mean, Laura's been writing stuff about pigs every day. Maybe it's just someone who's sick of seeing how great pigs are. I mean, spit it out, said Debbie. Whatever happened with Gabriel? Asked Tiffany. Mr. Doyle might have written it, said Laura. Mr. Doyle, they all said together. Yes, Mr. Doyle, Laura answered. He's trying to trick me into admitting that I'm the one who's been writing all the pig messages by making me deny that I wrote pigs stink. That makes sense, said Nathan. Not to me it doesn't, said Kristen. I want to know what Gabriel knows, said Tiffany. Why Gabriel? Asked Erin. Laura was going to ask him to join, Tiffany explained. Each of us was supposed to ask a boy. I asked Nathan, Allison asked you, and Laura was supposed to ask Gabriel. I told you, said Laura. I changed my mind. But you never said why, said Tiffany. Yes, she did, said Allison. She said she hated him. Well, she said that before, too, Tiffany pointed out. It could have been Gabriel, Laura admitted. It could have been, like Nathan said. Gabriel got tired of seeing all the pig messages, so he changed pigs stink to pigs stink because he thought it was funny. That's right, exclaimed Nathan. That's what I said, or at least what I meant to say. Well, in that case, it could be anybody, said Tiffany. It could even be one of us, Nathan whispered. They looked at each other suspiciously. Laura wondered about Debbie. There was something about Debbie that bothered her. She remembered how Debbie knew Yolanda's note was written to Jonathan before anyone told her. Look! Exclaimed Kristen. Everyone turned. Yolanda and Jonathan were walking across the playground together, holding hands. 24. A turkey playing football. Nathan's so cute, said Tiffany. Every time he sees me, he touches his nose with his fist. So we all do that, said Allison. But Nathan's so cute, said Tiffany. Laura and Allison laughed. They were walking home from school. The mystery of the altered message was never solved. Do you think Yolanda did it on purpose? Laura asked. What do you mean? Asked Allison. Remember Debbie said that Yolanda's been in love with Jonathan since the 4th grade. Then yesterday Karen said Yolanda told her to ask me if she could join Pig City. Yolanda knew what would happen. She knew you'd put her note in Jonathan's desk, said Allison. She wanted you to do it. She covered her mouth with her hand, then took it away. Remember how quickly she chose Jonathan? She might have done it all on purpose, said Laura, without even realizing she was doing it. Oh, I just got a chill down my back, said Tiffany. It's like she has a split personality. Part of her is very shy and scared of boys, but she has a burning desire buried deep beneath her breast. She covered her heart with her hands. Yolanda doesn't have a split personality, said Allison. She doesn't even have breasts, said Laura. They all laughed. Do you think boys really care about that? Tiffany asked. I mean, do you think a boy wouldn't like a girl if she was flat? Allison shrugged. I don't know what's so special about boobs. Anyway, none of the girls in our class have very much. Except Sheila, said Tiffany. Maybe that's why Gabriel likes her, 'cause she's stacked. Does Gabriel like Sheila? Asked Laura. She tried not to sound too interested. Oh, I don't know, said Tiffany. I saw them talking after school. They reached the corner where Tiffany and Allison went one way and Laura the other. This met noses, then Laura walked the rest of the way home, alone. It was Friday, but she couldn't hang out with her friends because company was coming over. She had an uneasy feeling in the pit of her stomach. She knew it was because of Gabriel and Sheila. She tried to ignore it. It was stupid. She had no reason to be jealous. She took off her cap, shook her hair back, and put the cap back on. The feeling remained. Aunt Laura! Rebecca greeted her as she entered the house. Laura smiled. She loved it when Rebecca called her that. Rebecca was 5 years old. She was the daughter of Laura's oldest brother Dan and his wife, Sue. They were all spending the weekend. What's Pig City? Sue asked. I got it at a garage sale, said Laura, not about to break her vow of secrecy. She never takes it off, said her mother. I don't think she really likes it, said her father. I think it's stuck to her head, and she's afraid to tell anyone. Laura laughed, even though she didn't think it was funny. The feeling remained inside her. It stayed with her all weekend, gnawing at the insides of her stomach. On Sunday, she received two earth-shattering phone calls. The first one was good news. It made her sad. The second was bad news. It made her glad. Tiffany called first. "Laura," she exclaimed, "you'll never guess what happened. Nathan came over to see me today. Actually, he came over to see Hubert." "Your hamster?" questioned Laura. She lay with her head at the foot of her bed. Her feet were on her pillow. "Uh-huh," said Tiffany. "Nathan likes hamsters. He likes all animals. His favorite is the porcupine. See, first he called and asked about the homework assignment." "We never have homework over the weekend," said Laura. "He forgot what day it was," Tiffany explained. "He thought it was Tuesday. Did you know that Saturday is his favorite day of the week? And it's mine, too. Isn't that a coinkydink? That's what Nathan says instead of coincidence. I like Sunday second, but he likes Friday. Do you want to hear his order for the rest of the days?" "That's okay." We told each other our favorite colors and our favorite food and our favorite animals, and that's when I told him I had a hamster named Hubert. He said he likes hamsters, and I asked him if he wanted to meet Hubert, and he said, "Okie dokie do." So he came over to meet Hubert. They liked each other. Nathan and Hubert. "Hamsters can tell about people," said Tiffany. "They know if someone's nice or not. So anyway, now I'm getting to the good part. After Nathan finished talking to Hubert, we went out in the backyard, and we were just kind of lying on the grass talking and looking up at the sky. We kept picking out things we saw in the clouds, like giraffes and camels, and a whale with a spout, and a lamp on top of the spout, and a turkey playing football." "A what?" Tiffany laughed. "A turkey playing football. I didn't see it at first, but Nathan showed it to me, and then once I saw it, it looked just like a turkey playing football. Really." "What does a turkey playing football look like?" "I don't know, like a turkey playing football. Wait, I'm getting to the good part now. Anyway, so then I saw a fish driving a car. He said he didn't see it, so I showed it to him again, but he said, 'I still don't see it.' And I said, 'See, the fish's hands are on the steering wheel.' And he said, 'No, show me.' And I had to put my head right next to his so he could see where I was pointing. And then, just as I was trying to show him, Laura, he kissed me." Laura gasped. Tiffany squealed. "On the lips?" asked Laura. "Yep, it happened so fast. One second I was pointing to the sky, and the next, smack. I bet he saw the fish the whole time." Laura laughed. "Probably," she said. "So then we just stared up at the clouds some more without saying anything. Then he went home. We both said, 'See you tomorrow,' at the exact same time. It was funny." "Kissing him?" asked Laura. "No, saying 'see you tomorrow' at the same time." Laura didn't think it was funny. "I'm a different person now than I was yesterday," Tiffany said very seriously. "What do you mean?" "It's hard to explain. You wouldn't understand. Well, I've got to call Allison and tell her. Bye." "Bye." Laura hung up. She felt terrible. She knew she should feel happy for her friend, but she didn't, and that made her feel even more rotten. "You wouldn't understand," Tiffany had said. She walked to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. It didn't seem fair. She was prettier than Tiffany or Allison. She should have been the first to kiss a boy. "Fish don't have hands," she said aloud. Everybody had a boyfriend except for her. Tiffany and Nathan, Allison and Aaron, Yolanda and Jonathan. "Sheila's as ugly as a toad." "Who's Sheila?" asked Rebecca. Laura turned around, startled. "Nobody," she muttered. She wondered if she'd ever kiss a boy. What if next year in junior high no boy would want to kiss her because she didn't have experience? She went into her parents' bedroom, where she found her father reading a book. "Do you think I'm pretty?" she asked. He said yes. She asked him how pretty, and he told her she was the most beautiful girl in the world. She asked if he was just saying that because she was his daughter, and he said he wasn't. They went on that way for over 15 minutes until she was practically talking baby talk. It was sickening. Worst of all, Laura knew it was sickening. She heard herself talking to her father, and she hated herself for it. Still, she continued. When she left her father, she found her mother and had almost the identical conversation with her. Fortunately, her phone rang again. "It's probably Allison telling me Aaron kissed her," she thought bitterly as she walked to her room. "Hello?" There was no one there. "Hello?" she repeated. "Hello?" Nothing. She hung up. She sighed. She felt like she was about to cry. The phone rang again. "Hello?" she demanded. "Monkey Town will turn Pig City into bacon and eggs," said a voice. There was some muffled laughter, and then the line went dead. She slowly hung up the phone. Monkey Town will turn Pig City into bacon and eggs. She hadn't recognized the voice. It was disguised to sound like a cranky old lady. Later, when she came to dinner, everybody made a point of telling her how pretty she looked. "You're going to break a lot of hearts some day," said her brother Dan. "You get prettier every time I see you," said Sue. Even Rebecca got in the act. "You're the prettiest of all my aunts and uncles," she said. "You're much prettier than Sheila." "Knock it off, okay," said Laura. She didn't care whether or not she was pretty. George Washington didn't worry about whether or not a girl would ever want to kiss him. That was probably a good thing, too, thought Laura. What girl would want to kiss somebody with wooden teeth? The fire returned to her eyes. Pig City was going to war. 25. Monkey Town. "Bacon and eggs?" asked Gabriel. Karen laughed. "Sorry, Gabe," said Howard. "Pigs don't lay eggs, Howard," said Jonathan. Howard was supposed to have called Laura and said, "Monkey Town will turn Pig City into bacon and ham." That made sense. Bacon and ham come from slaughtered pigs. Howard felt awful. He was so happy when Gabriel asked him to join the club, but now he messed up his first assignment. "I meant to say ham," he explained. "It's more natural to say bacon and eggs than bacon and ham. It's hard to say bacon and ham." "Bacon and ham, bacon and ham, bacon and ham," said Sheila. "You want me to call her back, Gabe?" asked Howard. "I can call her back and tell her I meant ham." Karen laughed hysterically. "This is war, Howard," said Gabriel. "We can't call her back and say we made a mistake." "It might be better this way," said Jonathan. "They're not just pigs, they're chicken pigs. They lay eggs." Everyone laughed. "They still won't know what bacon and eggs means," said Yolanda. "That's all right," said Gabriel. "One of the first rules of war is to confuse the enemy. You did a good job, Howard." "I knew you'd like it," said Howard. "That's why I did it." Sheila snorted. "We'll have to change our song," said Yolanda. "What rhymes with eggs?" "Pegs," said Jonathan. "Begs," said Karen. "I think we should just tell Mr. Doyle that Laura's the one who wrote on the board," said Sheila. "We can't," said Gabriel. "I wrote on the board, too. I wrote pigs stink. If she gets in trouble, we all will." He would never have told on Laura anyway, but he had to give a reason that would satisfy Sheila. "There's more than one way to skin a pig," he said. He stuck his right thumb in his right ear and wiggled the remaining fingers on that hand. Everyone else did the same. It was a secret Monkey Town salute. 26. Eye of the Hurricane. Laura walked to school Monday morning alert but not afraid. She didn't know who or what Monkey Town was or what bacon and eggs meant. She was ready for anything. She sneaked into the building and on through the yellow curtain into Mr. Doyle's room. There was already a message on the board. "Monkeys are marvelous, magnificent, and miraculous." She picked up the eraser and a piece of chalk. She didn't change it all, just enough. She placed the eraser and chalk back on the rack, then walked calmly out through the school to the outside. She stood with her back against the brick wall so nobody could sneak up on her behind her, and waited for Pig City. Her eyes moved constantly. Tiffany and Allison came walking across the blacktop. She went out to meet them and raised her fist to her nose. Allison returned the salute. Tiffany didn't. Something was wrong. Tiffany looked very scared and confused. Laura wondered if Monkey Town had gotten to her already. "Are you all right?" she asked. "I don't know what to say to him," Tiffany complained, pulling at her hair. "How can I even look at him?" "Look at who?" asked Laura. "Nathan!" Tiffany exclaimed. "Who else?" Laura laughed. Allison shrugged. She started out perfectly normal, or at least normal for Tiffany. Then the closer we got to school, the crazier she got. She's afraid to see Nathan after, what they did. "It's not funny," Tiffany insisted. "Tell me what to say to him, Laura." "I don't know," Laura replied. "I wouldn't understand, remember?" "Just talk to him like you always did," said Allison. "Say what you used to say." "I can't remember what I used to say," complained Tiffany. Debbie and Kristen approached. Everyone saluted. Tiffany missed. Her fist hit her eye. "Did anybody else get a call from Monkey Town?" Laura asked. "Monkey Town?" questioned Debbie. Laura told them about the phone call. "Bacon and eggs?" asked Kristen. "What does that mean?" "I don't know," said Laura, "but it doesn't sound good." Tiffany gasped. Everyone turned around. It was Nathan. He and Aaron were approaching. Nathan's face was red as a beet. They all saluted. Tiffany punched herself in the nose. "Hi, Tiffany," said Nathan. "Hi, Nathan," said Tiffany. "Hi," said Nathan. "How was your hamster?" "Fine, thank you," said Tiffany. "And yours?" Fine, thank you, said Nathan, even though he didn't own a hamster. Laura repeated her news about Monkeytown for Nathan's and Aaron's benefit. We all have to be very careful, she warned. As they lined up for class, Tiffany pulled Laura aside. That wasn't so bad, was it? She said. We talked just like always. I guess you're both too busy worrying about Monkeytown to worry about each other, said Laura. Monkeytown? Asked Tiffany. What's that? They went inside. Nobody laughed at the message on the blackboard. Nobody knew what it meant. Monkeys are marvelous, magnificent, and mustard. Mustard? Exclaimed Karen. Is something bothering you, Karen? Asked Mr. Doyle. No, Mr. Doyle. I don't like mustard. Do you like ketchup? He asked. It's okay. Good. I'm glad you have something to put on your hot dog. He erased the board and put the number 9 next to the rectangle under the word dictionary. There's an egg in my desk, Kristen announced. Several kids laughed. Kristen? Asked Mr. Doyle. She showed him the egg. Laura found an egg in her desk, too. It was hard-boiled without the shell. Hey, I got one, too, said Aaron. He held up his egg. Does anybody else have an egg? Asked Mr. Doyle. Everybody else looked inside his or her desk. 5 people raised their hands and eggs. Debbie, Nathan, Tiffany, Allison, and Laura. The entire population of Pig City had been egg-laid. They brought their eggs to Mr. Doyle. He asked them how the eggs got in their desk, but they all said they didn't know. They returned to their seats. All right, said Mr. Doyle. We've had enough silliness for one morning. Now I want to know where these eggs came from. Gabriel raised his hand. Gabriel? Asked Mr. Doyle. Chickens, said Gabriel. For a moment, Mr. Doyle looked like he was going to explode. Then he smiled. That's very good, Gabriel, he admitted. I set myself up for that one. He addressed the class. This happens every year just about this time, he said. People find eggs in their desks? Asked Lindsay. No, said Mr. Doyle. 6th graders go crazy. We have only 3 weeks until graduation, so everybody starts thinking they're pretty hot stuff. You think you can do anything. Well, let me give you a word to the wise. Your grades count more now than they did at the beginning of the year. If you fail your test, you may be left back. If you break the rules, you will be punished. Anyone who owes me a dictionary page at the end of the year will not graduate. If you think I'm bluffing, go talk to some of my former students. He looked out across the room. A word to the wise. Laura smiled. Who are you trying to kid, she thought. At recess, Pig City discussed how to best strike back at Monkeytown. We don't even know who they are, said Kristen. But they know who we are, said Aaron. The eggs prove that. There might be hundreds of them, said Nathan. Why eggs? Asked Debbie. What do eggs mean? Nobody knew. What does mustard mean? Asked Aaron. I wrote that, said Laura. It means they're yellow. They're chicken. Do you think they'll be able to figure that out? Asked Debbie. That doesn't matter, said Laura. It's better if they can't. They'll worry more. Suddenly everyone stopped talking. Gabriel, Sheila, Karen, Jonathan, Yolanda, and Howard were coming toward them. 1, 2, 3, said Gabriel. They snapped their fingers and sang. Monkeytown, slap, snap, snap. Monkeytown, snap, snap. We're the greatest club around. Snap, snap. Monkeytown, snap, snap. Monkeytown, snap, snap. Gonna turn Pig City upside down. Snap, snap. Pigs walk on. Snap, snap. 4 legs. Snap, snap. They're nothing but bacon and eggs. Snap, snap. Monkeytown, snap, snap. Monkeytown, snap, snap. We're the greatest club around. Snap, snap. You mustard, shouted Nathan. They sang louder and changed from snapping fingers to clapping their hands. Monkeytown, clap, clap. Monkeytown, clap, clap. Gonna turn Pig City upside down. Clap, clap. Pigs walk on. Clap, clap. 4 legs. Clap, clap. Monkeys are mustard, screamed Debbie. Everyone in Pig City began shouting it. Monkeys are mustard. Monkeys are mustard. They're nothing but bacon and eggs, sang to Monkeytown as loud as they could scream. Good. Now we know who they are, thought Laura, calm amidst the chaos. She was the eye of the hurricane. 27. War. The war raged on all week. By Friday, every pencil belonging to the citizens of Monkeytown and Pig City had been broken. It started Monday after recess, when Howard accidentally dropped his pencil. It rolled under his chair and behind him. Debbie reached down and grabbed it, then broke it in half. After that, no pencil was safe. If anybody left his or her pencil unguarded, even for a second, it would be snatched and snapped. Besides pencil breaking, there was a lot of name calling, some apple core throwing, one homework stealing, many attempted cap liftings, and a day of mud splashing. It was Tiffany's homework that was stolen. Jonathan and Yolanda changed all the answers, then returned it to her without her knowing it. She didn't find out until Mr. Doyle returned it to her with a big red 0 on top. The mud splashing occurred on Wednesday after it had rained heavily on Tuesday night. Jonathan was shooting baskets before school. He tossed the basketball high in the air. It was a perfect shot. The ball landed in the center of a mud puddle just as Aaron passed by. Mud splattered all over his clean clothes. As Jonathan and Yolanda were laughing, Debbie picked up Jonathan's books, which he had left at the edge of the court, and threw them in the mud. Gabriel ran up behind her and stamped his foot into the mud, getting himself muddy, but Debbie muddier. It continued all day. Only Laura's cap remained mud-free. It never left her head, despite numerous attempts by Monkeytown to steal it. Her cap became the most prized possession of the war. It was Pig City's flag. As long as she wore it, Pig City was the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thursday, Allison opened her lunch sack and saw a pin sticking through the side of her carton of fruit punch near the bottom. To everyone's amazement, none of the punch had leaked out. "Do you think it's safe to drink?" she asked. "Take the pin out first," cautioned Tiffany. Allison removed the pin, and the punch leaked out the hole and into her lap. All week, Monkeytown continued to sing their song over and over again. Laura hated that more than anything else. It was like a stupid song you hear on the radio, or a silly jingle from a television commercial. No matter how much you hate it, you catch yourself humming it all the time. It drove her crazy. When she went to bed at night, she'd hear her brain singing, Monkey Town, gonna turn Pig City upside down. We'll see who turns who upside down, she thought angrily. The morning messages didn't stop. Tuesday, monkeys are morons. Wednesday, pigs pick their noses. Thursday, monkeys chew their tails. Friday, pigs wear wigs. Those were the messages that everyone got to see anyway. Each message had been changed at least once, usually twice or 3 times, as Gabriel and Laura sneaked back and forth into the room, one after the other, in a dangerous game of chicken. On Friday, the last change was made from pigs are wise to pigs wear wigs only seconds before the bell rang. The number 13 was placed next to the rectangle under dictionary. After lunch on Friday, Laura led Pig City around the side of the school to the door through which she entered every morning. "Now, nobody act suspicious," she cautioned. "Pretend you're supposed to be here." They sneaked inside. The school was much more crowded during lunch than it was early in the morning. Teachers were everywhere, talking to each other or carrying books and papers from one room to another. The citizens of Pig City walked straight toward Mr. Doyle's room as if they owned the place. A teacher crossed their path. She looked at them suspiciously. "It's not fair we have to stay inside during lunch," Nathan complained, "just because we didn't finish our work." "Can we go outside?" Debbie asked the teacher. "No," she said. "You have to finish your work." She continued on her way. They walked through the yellow curtain. Quickly and quietly, they turned every Monkeytown desk upside down. They had to lift each desk up off the floor, then turn it over and gently set it down so as not to make a lot of noise. Laura wrote on the blackboard, upside down, "Monkeys kiss donkeys." As Aaron and Allison turned over Karen's desk, it opened, and papers and books spilled out into the floor. Laura told them to stuff all her junk back in her desk. "We don't want to make a mess," she said. "Mr. Doyle might get mad." 28. Truce. The class was in an uproar. "Monkeys kiss donkeys," someone shouted. "That's what it says. Monkeys kiss donkeys." "Quiet!" Mr. Doyle shouted. "My word! Can't you come back from lunch without all this screaming and yelling? There are other classes going on where, believe it or not, people are trying to do work. I know that sounds silly to most of you, but Howard, what seems to be the problem?" "My desk is upside down," said Howard. "Well, I'd say you have 2 choices, Howard. You can either sit on your head or turn your desk right side up." Howard chose the latter. The other members of Monkeytown did the same. Mr. Doyle erased the board and put the number 14 where the number 13 had been. "A wise person learns from the mistakes of others," he said. "An average person learns from his own mistakes. And a fool never learns. Here is today's homework assignment. But it's Friday, someone complained. I'm glad to see you know your days of the week, said Mr. Doyle. Maybe you'll learn how to tell time and tie your shoes. This is a kindergarten class, isn't it? Nobody said anything. Mr. Doyle piled on the homework. It's not fair that we should all be punished because some people's desks were turned upside down, someone complained. Only the people with upside down desks should be punished, said Tiffany. Mr. Doyle said that it wasn't punishment. He explained that since they had wasted so much time during the day with childish nonsense, they would have to make up the work at home. If you waste any more class time, he said, then you'll have more homework. Laura knew it was punishment. They had only wasted about 15 minutes, and he had assigned over an hour's worth of homework. It was punishment, and everyone knew it, and Mr. Doyle knew they knew it, and he wanted them to know it. When the bell rang, Gabriel came to Laura's desk and asked if he could talk to her alone. Laura immediately covered her cap with her hand. I'm not going to take your cap, Gabriel said. I just want to talk to you, president to president. Allison and Tiffany came to her defense. I want to talk to Laura alone, said Gabriel. Did you hear somebody say something, Allison? Asked Laura. No, I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything, Tiffany? No, I didn't hear anything, said Tiffany. Laura, said Gabriel. Something smells, said Laura. She held her nose. What is it? It smells like old garbage, said Allison. Like my brother's dirty socks, said Tiffany. Laura, Gabriel said again. Oh, Laura exclaimed, it's Gabriel. Allison and Tiffany laughed. Gabriel stared at Laura. Okay, she agreed, but no tricks. No tricks, he promised. She kept her hand on her cap. They walked outside to an open area where Tiffany and Allison could watch but couldn't hear. What? She asked. I think we should make some rules, said Gabriel. Rules? Questioned Laura. All's fair, and she stopped herself just in time. The expression was, all's fair in love and war. What kind of rules? She asked. Mr. Doyle is getting mad, said Gabriel. If we're not careful, we might all get kicked out of school. I think we should work out a truce. We could take turns writing on the board instead of risking our lives sneaking in after each other. You have Monday, I have Tuesday, you have Wednesday. I'm not afraid of Mr. Doyle, said Laura. The whole class got in trouble today, said Gabriel. Not just us. I don't think that's fair. Laura felt bad about that too. How do I know I can trust you? She asked. Trust me? Gabriel asked, pointing to himself. I'm the one who's taking a chance trusting you. What's that supposed to mean? Laura demanded. Gabriel backed off. Sorry, he said. We'll just have to trust each other. How do I know it's not another one of your tricks? She asked. I said you can trust me. Look, just because you always lie, that doesn't mean everybody else does. What? I never lie. Oh, yeah, right. You're unbelievable, said Laura. She turned her back on him, swishing her hair behind her. Laura, look out, shouted Allison. She instinctively covered her hat with her hand and crouched down to her knees. Howard charged into and fell over her. The members of Pig City rushed to her. I'm okay, she told them, getting up. She looked at Howard still on the ground, then at Gabriel. Oh, yeah, I can trust you, can I? What are you, a Girl Scout? He asked. I just missed it, Gabe, said Howard. Laura led Pig City away. Behind them, Monkey Town sang. Monkey Town, Monkey Town. Monkeys are mustard, Aaron turned and shouted. Laura covered her ears and hummed until they were far enough away. We need a song, she declared. They all agreed. The Pig City National Anthem, said Nathan. They decided that Kristen should write it, since she was the best writer. Do you think you can have it by tomorrow? Laura asked her. I guess so, said Kristen. Good. Tomorrow we'll all meet in the doghouse, said Laura. And I want everybody to bring mustard, she added. Lots of it. As much mustard as you can get your hands on. Nathan looked at his hands. That will be kind of messy, won't it?